see me? Can you hear me? It's 10 a.m. on Sunday, December the 7th, 2025. The NFL season modeling along. Let me know if you can see me or hear me in the chat. It's been a while since we streamed. I see Great Big Green has a chat. Why isn't this coming up on screen? Chat Ninja. Huh. Well, that's weird. Howdy, Todd says. Todd, we're just getting things set up. I think I got a problem. Add existing browser for chat, perhaps. Ah, there's old Big Green. Now the problem is we got to move it around. Let me know if you can hear me and see me. No, we don't want to move that. Problem is they. Oh, there it is. All right, we want to move this down here. Like so. There's Big Green. Big Green says, do you do any historical audiobooks? Not nonfiction. So I'm more of a fiction guy, Big Green. So we do fiction stuff, but you can learn a lot of history from fiction. And since what we do mostly is in the public domain, you could consider that historical. That's for sure. Joe Mike says good morning. Jojo says good to go. All right, so you guys can hear me okay, and you can see me. We got the ticker up there. We got the chat. Alan Dodes is here. The Dodester, the Deuteronomy, the Book of Dudes. Alan Dodes is somebody who's he's a New Paltz graduate. He went to old SUNY New Paltz, just like old Frankie. And I played baseball. He played, what sport did you play, Dodester? Rugby? Tiddlywinks? I don't know. But the point is that Alan Dodes is a member of the Inner Circle. And maybe you should be a member of the Inner Circle. He gets all the grades for the college quarterbacks. You might be wondering, what grade is Ty Simpson right now? What grade does Dante Moore have? What about this Fernando Mendoza I keep hearing about? What grade do they have? Well, Frankie's got the grades, and so does Alan Dodes because he's a member of the Inner Circle. And maybe you should join the Inner Circle as well. Dodester says it was rugby, not tiddlywinks. All right, well, somebody's got to play tiddlywinks. James Thompson is here, the Thompson man. All right, so here we are. We're back live. It's been kind of a, speaking of audiobooks, it's been kind of a time crunch as I try to finish a new one for January. That's coming out January 1st. It'll be very exciting. But now I'm here again live, and so we could go over some of the news that we maybe missed on Friday due to time constraints, and let's see what we got going on today. We're playing the Dolphins today. Today is December 7th. We got the aquatic mammals in our building. It's going to be a high of 40, and as we all know, Tua Tagovailoa has a problem with the cold weather, or he has historically. When I say problem, just winning. I mean, he doesn't have a problem with it, but he has a problem playing well in the old cold weather. So we got that going on now. Marcelino and Brownlee are going to be out of there, and in fact, they were put on IR. We later learned. Stiggers and Adams are expected to play. Willie Mack and JJ will play. Interestingly, Justin Fields is going to be out and so he'll be inactive. And Brady Cook not only got a call-up, but got signed to the 53-man roster. So maybe a little something with Brady Cook going on, because he had one more elevation remaining, and instead of doing that, we signed him to the 53-man. So perhaps might be in our future plans. Maybe. Who knows? And we also learned that Arian Smith is out of the doghouse and ready to go. His disciplinary is over. He's going to be good to go. So maybe Lazard or Tyler Johnson might be inactive today. We'll have to see who the inactives are at 11:30. So that's basically what we're talking about here. Todd says, it's weird how this thing works. Todd says, Jets going to beat the Fish today. Joe Mike with Brady Cook elevated. I don't care, Joe. This year, well, we weren't going to see him this year anyway, probably. Well, put it this way. I do think Fields is probably beat up. I don't think he's lying about his injury. But he's number 2 today. They'll probably take it. I mean, we really don't want to see Brady Cook this year, if at all possible. But it doesn't really matter. James Thompson, Ty Simpson. Yeah, Ty Simpson has not been good for the last month. So Ty Simpson is dropping. And in fact, I think he's going back to school now. Jojo says, great game last night, proved a lot. Yeah, I think so, because Ohio State has an incredible defense. Helmed by Matt Patricia. And they have all these first-round picks on it. So I was going, well, and plus his last game, Mendoza against Purdue, was not great. So I was like, all right, what's going on here? And how's he going to perform? I mean, if he has a bad game against Purdue, how's he going to perform against Ohio State? Well, he proved he can perform at a high level against Ohio State with all those first-rounders, so that was good for old Nando. Dodester says, Jets are getting the first INT of the year today. All right. Look into the crystal balls. Maybe Alan Dodds has crystal balls, and that's how you play rugby, with crystal balls. Something to think about. James Thompson says, Jets going to win today. All right, more crystal balling. Jojo says, Brady Cook probably starting next week. I don't think so. Joe Mike, did Marcelino get hurt? Yeah, that was a weird one, Joe. I don't know what he was doing, but it was stupid, and we can't have it. And then he's always getting hurt, this Marcelino. He's always hurt. All right, so that catches me up on the chat now. Couple of things on a couple of things from the Rosenblathering podcast. It's torturous to listen to, and because they all talk. Why do the Jet Beat reporters all talk like this? Hello, my name is Zach Rosenblathering. Why do they all talk like that? Do they not know how to speak the English language? But anyway, we have to listen to them because they have sources and they have things that they hear, and we have to try to ascertain whether it's what they're hearing from the Jets or from other people, or it's just their stupid opinion. So, but I have a bunch of interesting things that Rosenblatherer spoke about. He said that if the Jets like a QB1, they will trade up to 1, basically trading with the Tennessee Titans. And a lot of people today, this morning, after that performance by Nando last night, are saying, well, there you go. That's all you need to know. His resume, this is like sort of like the exclamation point on his resume. He has a lot of good stuff on the tape, but you really wanted to see it against a top-notch D in a high, pressure game, and he performed. And so now, nothing but solidification that the Jets would like him. And if that's the case, Rosenblather says if that were to be the case, if they liked one of the guys, and it would basically be Mendoza or Moore, one of those two, they will, he says, trade to 1. Now, and we have the assets to do so. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt because we're going to have to give up a lot, but that's what he says. And you have to think it's based on some sourcing and some, chatter that he's hearing. Now, it's going to be A long off season. It's already December. We're already talking about the draft, which is 5 freaking months away. It's going to be a long, long time. but that's what he says. Now, as far as free agents, number one, he says Tyler Linderbaum is going to be a target for the Jets, which seems unrealistic. But the reports out of Baltimore are that they are far apart with him in terms of negotiations and re-signing him. It's hard for me to believe they'll let him go. But if they do, the Jets are going to have to overwhelm him with an offer, it seems to me. He'll be the number one center on the market, of course, and I would think he's got a lot of options where he wants to go. I don't know why he would want to go here. We would basically have to give him a Godfather offer. I'm not sure if we want to just throw tons of money at a center, as good as he is, but I don't know. He's being mentioned by a Jet beat writer as a target of the Jets, and if it was completely unrealistic, I don't even think he would mention it. So we'll be interested if he gets to free agency. We'll see how it goes. That would be a phenomenal signing, as long as it was reasonable, But he's going to be top notch. I mean, he's going to want a little less than Creed Humphrey money, and so I'm not sure if Mooj is going to do that. So we'll see. But it's looking like, moving on to the next player, the next player is Breece Hall. We'll probably franchise tag or a long-term deal for Breece. Rosenblatherer says he gives it a 60% chance that he returns. So that's good news, getting Breece Hall back. Then you have John Simpson and AVT. He thinks we'll keep one of the two. He thinks Simpson will cost between 7 and 8. AVT maybe 8 and 10. Each one of them carries separate risk, of course. Simpson, underperformance. AVT, injury. So they're kind of like cheap options at guard that are okay. AVT is phenomenal, but he just can't stay healthy, of course. And Simpson is okay, below average, but a great guy, great in the locker room, a good enforcer. Hey, you touch our quarterback, I'm going to cut your head off, this kind of guy. And you love that. And also just an all-around good dude. So for $7 million, and then if you don't get Linderbaum, then you probably got to draft a quarterback or sign somebody like an Ethan Posich or somebody of that caliber. Quincy Williams, he says, is unlikely to come back, so looking like we're going to lose him. He thinks he's going to get an $11 million per year deal. However, and this is the exciting part, he is confident that we are signing Alex Anzalone from the Lions. And the interesting thing about this is they have younger guys that can take his spot. He's getting a little up there in age, which is why we can get him. But the way I look at it, it would be worth it because he would probably become the new defensive capitano and basically take the green dot away from Sherwood. Let Sherwood be Sherwood. Maybe the green dot was too much for Jamian Sherwood. This is a former safety. Maybe he can't be the defensive capitano. Maybe he's just better being the number 2, Sherwood. And maybe Anzalone is the brains of the operation. And you watch him play. After I heard that, I watched him play the last game they played. I was looking at him, particularly as I watched the game, and seems like he hasn't lost a step. He was covering pretty well, in that game that they won. So I think that would be pretty good. I don't know if he's better than Quincy. I mean, Quincy's kind of up and down, to be honest with you. But the idea I like about it is you basically get a capitano, you get the green dot, and you let Sherwood be Sherwood. In other words, less responsibility on Jamian's plate, and maybe his quality of play will go up. That's what you're hoping. And then we still need a linebacker 3, whether that's Kiko or somebody in the draft or something like that. He says Nick Folk is probably coming back. Surprise, surprise. He's had a great year. As old as he is, he thinks it'll cost $4 million to sign him. He thinks Kene Nwangu probably coming back. Mechie's definitely coming back. And last on the list, a Joe Mike favorite, Michael Clemens could come back. He says at this point it's 50-50. Now, Clemens, as we all know, has played A lot better lately, and less boneheaded, I would say. Not really great. And Clemens, I would say it depends on the size of the contract. If he wants to come back for $2 million and be our defensive end 5, that's fine with me. Problem is when he gets too many snaps. You need people who are better than him, and we need at least 2 of those. So if he wants to come back for vet minimum or $2 million and be defensive end 5 and be inactive most of the time, that's fine with me. So that's the latest from the Rosenblatherings. Oh, yeah. Please do hit the like button. And if you're new here, please subscribe and consider joining the inner circle. But the like button, hey, it's free. It's a milk thumb. Click it. It helps out old Frankie. James Thompson, I wouldn't give up nothing. Baron Morton. Baron Morton is he's a guy you could take in 4th, 5th round. He's a good backup type. Spin Max Dave, good morning, Frankie. Exciting times for the Jets. If the Jets can't pull off a trade, who do you like? Well, yes, Styles is awesome. He's a top 10 player. Arvell Reese is a top 10 player. Caleb Downs is top. There's a lot of really intriguing talent there on Ohio State, just on one team. So it seems like we're going to sell out for the quarterback. Everybody's saying that. Dane Brugler, Zach Rosenblatherings, other folks. It seems like we're going to sell out to get the quarterback. And when I say the quarterback, it's basically Mendoza or more. Those 2 are the top 2. And so so I don't, look, if we were going to do, let's say a scenario, they all go back to school. Some reason Mendoza, it would be crazy of him to do so, but let's say he goes back to school or something. He's not available. Moore goes back. Simpson, they all go back. The hell do we do then? Well, at that point, you got to figure out another bridge. Do you want to keep Tyrod? Do you want to sign a Mariota or a Minshew or a trade for Will Levis? There's obviously not a lot of good options when it comes to bridges. That's why they're bridges. See what happens with Kirk Cousins. Although if he gets released, I would anticipate he's probably going back to the Vikings, I would think. But I don't know. I think Mendoza at least is coming out. It would be kind of nutty for him to go back to school. And if that happens, I think the Jets will trade up to get him. We have ammunition that no one else can really offer Tennessee. Remember, Tennessee Titans, who are number 1 right now, they don't need a quarterback, nor do the Giants, who are number 2, and nor do the Saints, who are number 3, in my opinion. Tyler Shuck is the guy. But Tennessee has a terrible team. I mean, they have nothing. So they have to restock everywhere. So if you give them a package that is the best, they pretty much got to take it. I mean, it would be irresponsible, really, for Tennessee to sit at 1 and take. I mean, you could make the argument maybe let's take the best player in the whole draft, whether Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, whoever it is. Most people would say it's Reese, Styles, 1, 2. Caleb Downs is also in there, but he plays a non-premium position. But they really should trade that pick because if they really believe in Ward, then just trade out, move down to, like, we're 7th right now. So if we traded with them, they would move down to 7 and then get all of this other stuff because you need to stock your roster. You have nothing. The cupboard is bare. I mean, what do they have? I mean, name 3 players on the Tennessee Titans. What? Calvin Ridley and Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward? I could barely name 4 people on their whole team. So they have nothing. So they got to trade. And as long as Mendoza comes out, it seems like all the reports I'm reading from trusted people and some not trusted, but, people who know things, it just seems like we're going to go to 1 to get him. That's just the way the tea leaves look as of right now. You never know. But if you think about it, Mendoza's going to go through the playoffs. So I guess his stock could take a hit during the playoffs, maybe. But other than that, then he's going to go into all the pre-draft stuff, and when he's interviewing with teams, he's going to blow teams away. His brain is like one of his big selling points. Everybody talks about how smart this kid is, and there's actually a video with him talking to Urban Meyer about schematics, and Urban Meyer is blown away by this kid. Like, he comes back and after it's over goes, that's one of the greatest conversations I've ever had with a quarterback in all my years. Say what you want about Urban Meyer. He's been around a lot of young QBs and players, his career. So he's going to knock that out of the park. That part of it's not going to be a problem at all. He's a squeaky clean kid. He's like super smart about football, and a football junkie as well. So his stock is not going to take a hit. It's not going to be a Shedeur Sanders situation where teams are like, what is going on with this guy? He's all entitled or whatever they thought. I don't know. But they thought something negative, and he dropped all the way to the 5th round. That's not going to be the case with this kid. So all those factors just tell you, I think the Jets are trading to 1. As of this moment, as of all the information we have right now, it seems to me we're trading to 1 and taking Mendoza and just trying to build it from there. And hopefully we do a better job with him than we did with Sammy and Zachy. So I don't think we have to worry about the Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles, should go to the Saints. And Arvell Reese should go to the Raiders or something like that. These teams that don't need a quarterback should want that. The Giants almost certainly are taking another wide receiver, right? We got to give Jackson Dart more weapons. They're going to say, we got Neighbors coming back. We got Scattledy-Doo, Skitty-Boo, and then we're going to get one of these kids, whether it's Tate or Tyson or whoever the number one is. We'll get him in here, and we'll give Mr. Dart all these weapons, therefore he won't have to run around so much and take all these hits. So they're going to take a wide receiver almost certainly, right? So then, the Saints probably should take the best player available. They have a quarterback in Tyler Shuck, in my opinion. And then the Raiders are the hell's going on with the Raiders? Can someone explain the Raiders to me? Yeah. And then the Browns are really interesting because of Deshaun Watson. He's coming back. The man is coming back. He's going to be on the roster in 26. Are they really going to draft another quarterback, the Browns, when they're going to have Watson and Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel, and they're going to take another one? I don't think so. I think they're going to use Deshaun as the bridge to 27 when they want Manning, Arch Manning, because Haslam, the owner, has a long-standing relationship with the Manning family. So everybody's saying the Browns are going to trade up to 1 to get Mendoza. I think the Browns are just going to use Deshaun Watson as another bridge because their whole thing is the new stadium they're building. The Cleveland Browns are getting a new stadium, by the way. We are not. We never will. Well, we might get a new stadium, but it's not going to move from the location that it's at, and it won't happen until at least 2050. But that's what they're really aiming for. And if you got Arch Manning in 27, and that stadium's not opening until 29, I think. But let's say you got Arch Manning in 27. He goes through his rookie pains, year 1, year 2, he gets better. And then year 3, there's optimism because Arch Manning, he got better in year 2. He's the guy. And we're moving into a new stadium and blah, blah, blah. Business is booming in Cleveland. That's probably the plan for the Browns. Right? I mean, I don't know. It's all speculation, but that's what they could be doing. So they may not want to trade up with Tennessee. Just stick at 5. They're at 5 right now. Stick at 5. Take an offensive. They need wide receiver and offensive line in the worst way anyway. Take the next best wide receiver at 5. And then use your second. They also have a second first rounder. Use your second first rounder for offensive line. That's what they need. I mean, shoot, if you give Deshaun Watson a good offensive line, some weapons, and that defense, you could probably do okay. And then you have the commies. They're not going to need a quarterback. They have Jaden Daniels. So I don't know. There may be less competition for that number one trade as we currently think. The Raiders are a wild card. Somebody has to explain the Raiders to me. I don't get it. I don't get it. James Thompson says I would take Downs. Yeah. Spin Max Dave, if this Tennessee, well, they're not going to take him. All the reports are Cam Ward is untouchable. They love Cam Ward. They're not taking a quarterback this year. Mendoza looked pretty good. Yeah, he looked pretty good. Gonna give 7, 23, and number one. Not necessarily. What I'm trying to say is there may be less competition for that first pick as possible. I would love to keep our second first. Maybe we give them 2 firsts next year. Remember, we have 3 first-round picks in 27. So even if we gave them 2, which would be quite a haul, we still have one. So I don't know what the deal would be. If I were Tennessee, I would want a player. The comp for this is the Bryce Young trade. And you all remember what the Bryce Young trade was. That's the comp for this. And we have the ammunition to get it done. But we have to see how it all shakes out. But it may be that there's less competition to go up than we think currently. What we really have to hope is Cleveland wins some games and Shedeur looks good. Like, it would be great if Shedeur balls out the last 5 games or whatever, and Cleveland going, all right, we feel pretty comfortable with him, even if he's QB2, or he could start, and Deshaun could be QB2, and we feel good about that combo, at least for a year, to bridge. If he continues to look terrible, then that's not good. But, Cleveland is playing Tennessee today, so they should win that game. Now, who knows? Weird things always seem to happen. But hopefully Cleveland wins that game. That'll give them 4 wins. Washington's getting Daniels back. Maybe they pull out a few more wins. They're ahead of us right now. The Giants and the Saints could pull out some wins but they're so injured. But Shuck has been playing really well, and he's just got nothing around him. Well, very little. I don't say nothing. So we'll have to see. But if we had to, Daniel, I would say as long as the Jets feel confident about Mendoza, yeah, you got to get your quarterback. This is a quarterback league. We all know that. And the Jets have enough talent, and they have enough what do you want to say? They should have enough experience from what has happened in the past to build it the right way, where we get a couple of veterans in here. It could be Tyrod, whoever it is, to surround the rookie, and we have a plan in place for him, and we, don't put all the pressure on him, and don't make the mistakes of the past, which I don't think we will, but we'll see. And then if you do it that way, you're more likely to have success, in my opinion. And then that's what you want. We want a guy to be your franchise guy. Once we get that guy, then we worry about building around him and all of that kind of thing. But I don't know if it would cost this much, Daniel. I don't know. Got to see how it all plays out, but there may not be. Teams that might want to come up for a quarterback, even if the teams ahead of us don't need a quarterback, they might want to trade out. Pittsburgh might want to trade up. They don't have a ton of capital. They don't have what we have. Who else would want to come up? Minnesota, are they going to give up on J.J. McCarthy already? I don't think so. The Rams are interesting because they have 2 first picks this year because of the Michael Penix trade. And they have Stafford, who might retire, and then they need an heir apparent behind him. But are they going to want to, take a shot in the first round? So let's hope Stafford comes back for next year, for one thing, because then they'll be like, all right, let's wait, probably. And they probably maybe take a flyer on some kid in the fourth, fifth round, something like that. And, um, you know, so I don't know. What is Arizona going to do? Looks like Arizona is moving on from Kyler Murray. And if that's the case, what are they going to do? Jacoby Brissett's under contract for next year, but that's not a long-term solution. So what do they want to do? They probably... I mean, I don't understand why Arizona is bad. Their team should have a much better team than 3-9. I don't understand it. They have a lot of talent over there, but they're 3-9. So do they think like, all right, we could get by with Brissett and Minshew for a year, and so there's a lot of decisions about what teams want to bridge it, what teams want to, because not a lot of teams really want to give up a ton of capital to move up to get a guy. Whereas we are kind of in that position almost uniquely. Like, we really can't wait to 27, even if we would want to. I don't think Glenn and Muji can wait. There's too much uncertainty. As long as they love, one or two of the guys coming out, you can't really. It's hard to see them waiting yet another year because the fan base will burn down the stadium. I mean, we don't have any patience for this. We need hope, and we need it now. And so, but other franchises are not necessarily in that situation. Arizona could wait. The Rams could wait very easily. The Raiders, I don't know what Cleveland. I explained the Raiders. I have no idea what they're doing. They fired everybody. OC, DC, STC, everybody but Pete Carroll. And they hired a 73-year-old Pete Carroll, and turns out that chomping gum on the sidelines doesn't get you many wins, I guess. So, what about that? I don't know what they're going to do. They have Geno. He's been bad this year, but he's been good in the past. And so why has Geno been bad? Was it all Chip Kelly? Was it because they try to throw to Brock Bowers 30 times a game, which is not a good game plan? What is going on with old Geno Smith? Because that could be a bridge quarterback right there. They already have him. And he's played well in the past. He's played well for Carroll in the past. So maybe they get the right OC and a couple more weapons other than Brock Bowers, and maybe he could be good, at least for a bridge. So maybe they sit at 4 and stick and pick. So, I don't know. Colts need a quarterback? Well, it depends what they want to do with Danny Dimes. The Colts, and besides, the Colts don't even have a first-round pick. I mean, remember, we have their first-round pick. So what the Colts need to do is just sign Danny Dimes, right? Because that's their best option. Even though he hasn't been as good these last couple of weeks, probably makes sense to just sign him, and then they're done. I mean, because they don't even have a first round. How are they going to trade up, James? They don't have anything. What do they have? We got their picks, man. We got your picks right here. So right now they're scheduled to pick 23rd. That'd be hard for them to come up from anyway, even if they had that pick, which they do not. We do. So they're going to just sign Danny Dimes. They're not going to. Plus, they've had so much turmoil at the quarterback position. They've had a new quarterback every year for the last decade, I think. They're going to stick with Danny Dimes. He was doing fine. Keep it and then just go from there. I don't see any other path for the Colts. What they do with Anthony Richardson is a different story. Maybe they try to get some draft capital back for Anthony Richardson. I don't know who would trade for him. Maybe that's a spot for Arizona to go. They go Brissett, Richardson. That way, If maybe they could find a diamond in the rough with Anthony Richardson out in the desert. That could be something. Or maybe Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh is kind of screwed too, but they just don't have any assets that they could trade, really. They're sitting at 15 right now. Meta Trends Mark, New Paltz grad 1989. All right, we got a bunch of New Paltzers in here. We got a bunch of Hawks. 1989 is a long time ago, Meta Trends. Sunshine Salami O-line is terrible in LV. Yeah, so how can you blame Geno? Again, so like the Raiders, does it really make sense to get a young QB and then put him behind that O-line? Or just maybe bulk up the O-line and then stick with Geno for a year and then bulk it up again and then get your quarterback. But they also have no wide receivers. Name a wide receiver on the Raiders. Jacoby Myers got traded, right? Where's Jacoby Myers right now? I mean, they got nothing. They got Ashton Genty. They got Brock Bowers. And they got Max Crosby. That's it. That's all they got. Yeah, then you got Carroll's son. This is another problem in the old NFL, There's way too much nepotism going on. Pete Carroll's son. All the Belichicks. Man, Bill Belichick, greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick, right? Is Bill Belichick the greatest coach of all time in football? Well, he went to the ACC and he took over a team and they went 4-8. Greatest coach of all times. 4-8 in the ACC. What a coach he is. Oh my goodness. He can coach so good. Jojo says the Raiders are the most unknown team. Yeah, what's their direction exactly? They got Tom Brady. Now, shady Tom Brady, as an owner, I mean, everything that Tom Brady has done other than playing football has been a disaster. He's a terrible broadcaster. His ownership with the Raiders, he tried to get Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson said, fuck you, get away from me. He told them not to sign Sam Darnold. Look what he's doing in Seattle. And they're 2-10, and also Brady signed off on signing Chip Kelly to a $6 million deal, the highest paid OC in the league, and they fire him during the season. And then he also owns Phil Adams was here. He could tell us all about the Birmingham Blues over there in England, soccer team, football, and they're not, and they did terrible their first year, but then their second year they spent a ton of money to get players, and they got elevated to the next league up. All right. So moderate success there. But what does this guy do that's successful other than, he was the greatest quarterback of all time. But other than that, so what is he going to do? He was supposed to be a guy who came in and told Mark Davis how to do things, and he was going to bring the Patriot way over to the Raiders and 2-10. 2-10. So I don't know what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. They fired all their coaches. Pete Carroll's still sitting there. John Spike, Tom Brady's butt buddy from college, still there. You got Tom Brady, you got Mark Davis. What are they going to do? I mean, they took a running back with the 5th overall pick. Not smart. When you didn't have an offensive line and you didn't have, that's something you do when you have everything else, But now what are they going to do? I have no idea. You might as well just stick with Geno, who knows at least how to deal with the pressure of having a Swiss cheese O-line while you build it up. You want to ruin a young quarterback, getting him killed in the NFL behind a terrible offensive line? I mean, that doesn't seem right. Especially if You're not so, especially if there's only two. We don't even know how many top QBs there are coming out. There's almost certainly going to be one that we know. And then the only other one, all the reliable, respectable scouts, including myself, say there's only really two that you'd want to take at the top, tippy top of the draft. And that's Mendoza and Moore. And so but then so number one, you may not be able to get them. Number two, do you want to trade all these assets to move up? I mean, if anything, Vegas should be trading down. Vegas, the Saints, they should be trading down. The Giants are in an interesting spot because they probably want the top-notch wide receiver talent. And with all of their defense should be better than it was this year. I don't understand why the Giants defense wasn't good. I have no idea. Like, there's a lot of talent on that Giant defense. Why did they suck? I don't understand. And the offensive line, yeah, they need some offensive linemen. They can sign some. The rest of the draft should be probably to find offensive linemen, but they can afford to stay there and take the best wide receiver available, pair them up with neighbors, and skiddly-doo, scatty-boo, and now you got Jackson Dart some stuff to work with. Theo Johnson, decent tight end. So you got some stuff to work with there, and then spend the rest of the draft and free agency, again, bulking up the line like they've been trying to do for the past decade. But you got Andrew Thomas there. That's something. So I don't think they should trade down. But Vegas needs all the help they can get. They should be trading down. Same thing with Tennessee. Probably the same thing with Washington. Washington's going to chalk up their problems to injury, mostly Jaden Daniels, but I think they constructed their roster kind of weirdly. But so I don't know. But are they going to be smart enough to do that? I don't know. Chad Pennington. Yeah. Well, yeah, Pennington just had that. Mendoza has more. So Mendoza has athleticism. Pennington had zero. And Mendoza also has a stronger arm than Pennington. Yeah. So Pennington is a good example of a high IQ, football IQ quarterback who did well. I mean, he wasn't, elite, but he was pretty good. He was underrated by most folks. He was decent and got us to the playoffs and all that kind of thing. And that was just his brain, basically. He had a noodle arm and no athleticism. All brain. So if Mendoza can do what people think he can do in the NFL level with his brain, and then he's got plus athleticism, and then he's got a stronger arm than somebody like a Pennington, then you got something. So that's the idea. Mark Sachetti's here. Good morning, Mark. How many assets would you give up? Well, it depends on what the market is. The answer is it depends. Number one, it depends on their evaluation of Mendoza. If they're 100% sold, then you got to feel Tennessee out for what the market is, and you got to see how everything else shakes out and get an understanding of the market and basically give them what they want. I mean, if you're sold 100,000% that he's the guy, then you sell out to get him, whatever it takes. So that's where we are with that. Let's just check the wires. Guys are arriving at the stadium. Doesn't seem like Tyrod with his. Is there somebody who dresses better than Tyrod Taylor? I'd like to know. And some of the stuff he wears, I wouldn't wear it, but if he pulls it off, he's about as stylish a man, if you're a wealthy man and you're looking for a new style, just copy Tyrod. I don't know what this is all about here, but looks pretty cool. Looks good on you. Looks good on you, TT. Uh, Quincy Williams is showing up dressed as the Joker. So there's that. In case you missed it, Quincy Williams was named our what did he named our Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. So congratulations to Quincy Williams, also doing a great job in terms of going to food banks and feeding hungry people. Good job, Quincy. Love to see the philanthropic side of these players. Aaron Glenn showing up with a nice green, I like that green sport coat over black pants, black shirt. That's a sporty look. That's a sporty look. I like it. All right, AG, I see you. All right, nice. All right, so nothing else really going on. Let me check in with the beat writers over here. Now, today is also the day, in case you didn't know, where they decide the college football playoff. There's a as always there's a big debate. Should it be Notre Dame get in there? Should Alabama get in there? Should Miami get in there? Those are the three that are fighting it out. BYU is also in the mix there, but lots of debate. Who should it be? Who should it not be? We'll find out later this afternoon who's actually in. And then I think 3 weeks or so from now, 2 or 3 weeks, they start the college football playoff. So there'll be no college football until that time. So that's also exciting. Jet beat writers. Oh, so no, there's nothing good here. Now, one little news nugget came out today from Chimney, Dick Chimney, the smoke blower. He put out in his column today that the Jets actually have $7 million more in their cap room for next year because of some quirk in Aaron Rodgers' contract. We actually got $7 million more next year to spend. So that's great news. We didn't know we were going to have that. Now we do. Hey, maybe that's what goes to keeping AVT in the fold, or a John Simpson, something like that. I would like to try to keep that line together. We got 3 of the pieces. We just need 2 more now. And that'll be important for whoever the quarterback is, of course. Now, in case you missed it, today is Gotham City Football Club Day for the Jets. The Jets are now the Gotham City Football Club. And the stadium includes enhancements. And the end zones are looking sweet. When you guys see these end zones, you're going to be like, what the hell? We should have this every time. And the logo is different at the center of the field as well, to be the alternate logo. And this is one of the reasons why they love artificial turf. They could turn over a stadium like this. It's very hard to do this with grass. So, and we did get some news as well about grass and turf. The NFL and NFLPA announced this week that they've come to an agreement that there's going to be some new minimum standards for all stadiums. So they're not mandating all grass. That's, I think, never going to happen. But they are mandating a certain minimum standard. Their details were not really clear about what that is and whether the Jets and Giants will have to improve upon this playing surface here. But by 2028, all NFL stadiums will have to have a minimum standard that the NFLPA agreed to in terms of safety profile, and what the details are is not clear, but they did at least do that. So there'll be some minimum standard safety for fields by 28. I think that's kind of like the NFLPA's way to get that off the table for negotiating in the CBA. I think they're going to say, well, that's good enough. We're not going to fight for all grass fields because because with the minimum safety, well, that's good enough. And let's fight for other things that we want. There should be more. There should be more bye weeks. There should be at least 2 more bye weeks during the season, in my opinion. And, that's something they should fight for. And then a greater share of the revenues as well, to spread out, and, other things, of course, lots of things. But that was announced. So that is part of the news. Jet 41, can't believe how bad Abdul Carter has been. Yeah, there were concerns about him and his maturity level in the scouting reports that people wrote up, but they thought, well, he's so talented, it's going to be fine. He's turned out to be a disaster. So that's been one of the Giants' problems. I mean, they've had a lot. But Joe Mike, did Irv the Wolf have a setback? We don't know, Joe, but he hasn't been activated, so he was not practicing with Fields in the preseason. No. Why would he be practicing? He has an ACL. He's not practicing. So they said at the time he might be able to come back in December. It's December, but everybody heals differently. So I don't know. He may come back. He may not. We don't know. James Thompson, I hope it's ND. Yeah, Notre Dame's problem is they lost to Miami, right? So head to head, that's no bueno. And plus, Notre Dame has this weird thing where they're not in a conference, and so sometimes they get advantages from that, sometimes they get disadvantages. Glenn talked highly of Myers. Yeah. 2 1s plus. Yeah. It's the Bryce Young trade is where you start. Right? Let's go back. Let's go. Frankie channel members already know this because I wrote it up for members only. Members get so much stuff. If you're a member, you get so much stuff, man. You just. But let's look. One of the things I wrote up. So the Bryce Young trade was the Panthers received the number 1 pick. The Bears got DJ Moore, a 2023. Now, this was the 2023 draft. So they got a 2023 first-round pick. That's the pick swap you have to give them. Plus a 2023 second-round pick. Plus a 2024 first-round pick. Plus a 2025 second-round pick. So if you look at that, if we did exactly that, we'd have to figure out who the wide receiver is. That would be our version of DJ Moore. I know who it is, but in that one, they gave up. You have to swap them back so they could go back. But then they gave them 1 first-round pick in the next year. In the next year, we have 3. So if we gave up one of those, that's fine. Then one second round this year, we have 2. Give them one of those, and then so this would be 20, and then a 2027 second. Seems like, and they went from 9 to 1. We're at 7, so maybe it could be a little less, like the 2027 becomes a third or something. But that seems like the starting point. That's the comparison pick. That's the comparison. But it all depends on the market. If the Titans are not getting calls to move up except for the Jets, then they can't hold us up much. So, but on the other hand, if they got 5 teams that want to come up, then they could jack up the price. It's just the economics of supply and demand. There's only one supply of the number 1 overall pick. And it depends then on the demand. How much demand is there for that pick will determine the price. This is just basic economics. Supply is fixed. There's only one number 1 pick. So the supply is fixed. However, the demand is variable. We don't know what the demand is right now. And some of these teams don't know yet. We got to go through the process. If we're the only team that wants to come up, demand is low. Therefore, the price will be lower. If there's 5 or 6 or 10, there's not going to be that many, but there's a bunch of teams that want to come up to one. The demand is high, therefore the price will be higher. Basic economics. But the starting point for the parameters of the deal would be the Bryce Young trade. You probably got to give up a player, 2 firsts and 2 seconds, if you think about it. And the second could be for the next year out. But that's the beauty of having 3 first-round picks in 27. So I'm hoping, if you look at this, if we made this exact trade, we would keep the Colts pick this year. So we'd still have 2 first-round picks this year and 2 next year. I mean, if we made this trade, it would be a pretty good trade, in my opinion. Because you still keep your first, you still have a second. Maybe we could get them to throw in a third our way. I'd love to get a 3rd-round pick somehow. If we threw in a sweetener somewhere, but like maybe we throw them an extra 7th this year and they throw us a 3rd this year. Something like that. Chris Bradigan says, "Go Irish." Well, the Irish don't have any more games to go on this year unless they make it into the playoff, of course. Jojo says, Jets have plenty of ammunition to execute a trade. Yeah, we got all the ammunition in the world, and that's the beauty of what Mooj did. The wisdom of the Mooj. So I think we have the most ammunition for whatever we want to do. Now, I just told you also, we got $7 more million in cap room that we didn't know we had, that somebody discovered. The Jets probably knew they had it. So we also have tons of cap room this year to sign free agents, whatever free agents make sense. If we want to really go after Linderbaum, if they're dumb enough to let him go, which I doubt, but let's say they do. If we really want to go after him and make him the top, we'd probably have to make him the number 1 paid center in the league. Let's be honest. That's a little dicey. But if we did, we could afford it. And it might be worth it. I mean, if you got a Linderbaum as your center and then you signed AVT, let's say, on a cheap deal because of injuries, and then we're going to have to draft a guard in the 4th round, certainly, as, protection. It might be worth it to just really solidify that line, understanding that that's a key component of the success of a rookie quarterback, or any quarterback, but especially for a rookie, that could be the plan. But then again, that could be part of the plan, but it depends on the Ravens being dumb enough to let him go. Then again, they're the Ravens, so they might say, we'll just pick somebody and make them good, like they always do. Right? Bradigan says, I hope we don't have to touch any of it. Well, we're probably almost certainly going to have to. I mean, if we're trading, if we're trading, then definitely 1 or 2. Like, it could be that we just trade 2 of those first rounders for next year and a player, and that's it. That's the deal. We keep all of our picks this year. That'd be, that'd be pretty good. In that we don't really, because if we're going for Mendoza or more, or what, one of those 2 this year, then, we don't need 3 picks next year. It's always nice, but you do what you got to do. But the other thing to think about, I was thinking about this. What if nobody makes any trades and Mendoza falls to us at 7? Is that possible? And it's possible. If you look at the first 6, Tennessee has Cam Ward. The Giants have Dart. The Saints have Shuck. The Raiders could decide to stick with Geno for another year because putting a rookie on that team would be a disaster, they say. So let's build up the team and then go next year. So bridge with Geno. And then they sign Minshew or somebody as a backup. Cleveland, I already explained them. They're getting Deshaun Watson back. They may go, you know what, Deshaun plus Shador plus Dillon, we're good for next year. It's a bridge year anyway. We really want Arch Manning. Because are you going to really go get Mendoza and then go get Arch Manning? No. Washington already has a quarterback. So what if it is that, now the only problem with that is somebody would trade with somebody else. But If nobody made a trade, Mendoza could fall in our lap at 7. uh, it's a little risky. But and then somebody else could trade up. Arizona is a wild card. Who knows what they're doing? The Rams need an heir apparent to Stafford. I doubt they do that this year. But if Stafford retires, that changes the entire landscape. Now, what are the Rams going to do? They have Atlanta's pick, so they're 9th right now. Cincinnati doesn't need a quarterback. Minnesota, what are they going to do? Are they going to give up on J.J. McCarthy already? Miami's probably sticking with Tua. Dallas has Dak, and then everybody, and then you have Pittsburgh, the only other team that really needs a quarterback out of the rest of these people. And Pittsburgh sitting at 15, and they're going to do their 500 one over 500 like they always do every year. And what are they going to do? They don't have anything they can trade like we do. So I don't know. Supply and demand. It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. But yeah, Bryce Young deal is basically the parameters of the deal, but it'll be determined by supply and demand. All right. That's not horrible. I'd do it for Mendoza. Yeah, it's not horrible. And we have the ammunition. That's the beauty of it. So there you go. All right. It's 11 o'clock. Thanks for joining. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel. We would love to have you as a subscriber, and consider joining the inner circle as we move forward here. You might want to know, how did these quarterbacks grade out, these college quarterbacks? Well, I've been scouting them all year, and I got grades on them. And the inner circle members get those grades, amongst a whole bunch of other things as well. Exclusive write-ups, some exclusive videos, but I've been slacking on that a little bit. And but if you just want to give a thumbs up to the video, I would appreciate that. Or you just want to subscribe, that's also totally free. Just click the little subscribe button down there below this video. Thanks to everybody in the chat. I will not be on with Green Bean during the game, so I'll probably do a reaction video maybe, depending on what happens in the game. But I'll see you after the Jets play the Miami Dolphins. Thanks, everybody.